And welcome to the podcast, guys, with Nando.
And Rob.
All right, so what are we going to talk about today?
So today we have a pretty cool episode. I think this is a really important one. I'm excited to get started. So today we're talking about red flags to watch out for in women, 2023 edition.
Very important.
So let's get right into it. You want to start us off with number one?
Yes, number one is what everybody should be aware about, lying. And a woman being secretive goes hand in hand. So trust is key when it comes to a relationship. It's common sense, right? You expect to be in a relationship with a woman. You have each other's back. You're not going behind each other's back and doing things that you're not supposed to do and lying about it. And we have to admit, of course, we're going to get hate for this, but women lie.
How dare you?
Women lie. It's just kind of like a natural thing. It is what it is. Can't do anything about it, but you can watch out for it to prevent yourself from getting into a bad situation.
Something that I learned over the years the hard way is how important it is to vet women early on in dating. You go on those first couple of dates, you start spending time together, you really have to vet her out, because I think what happens as guys is like average guys don't really have that many options. So the moment an attractive woman gives you the light of day, you go for it, right? And you kind of ignore. I think as guys we could pick up on those red flags, but we choose to ignore them, or we just don't really pay attention that much because, well, we have an attractive woman in our lives, and you want to just move forward with it. You don't really think about it too much, right? But talking about like lying and being secretive, it's a big red flag for me when you're having conversation and they leave certain things out, or they're very vague, or like you could sometimes just tell based on how they're talking that they're just purposely leaving certain things out. And if they're being secretive, obviously it's because they don't want you to know something or because they're hiding something. Those type of people in general, they're going to be doing the same thing a year down the line or down the road in a relationship. So I don't think it's the biggest red flag out of the ones we're going to go over today, but that's definitely one you have to watch out for.
Definitely one you have to watch out for. I would consider it one of the top ones, because if she's lying to you about the most minuscule of things and situations, imagine some of the big things that you're going to be dealing with.
And this is obviously a small percentage of women, but some of them are compulsive liars. I've dated women like that in the past where they will just lie through they're so used to doing it that they will just lie through their teeth about everything.
Yeah.
Past relationships, where they were last weekend, who they were with, what they were doing. And you have to be able to kind of pick up on that early on and match up like what she's saying with what she's doing. Be honest with yourself. Does it really make sense? Because again, if things get serious, you're gonna be dealing with this on the daily. So
100%. So on to the next one. And the next one is daddy issues. Daddy issues, or women just having hate for men. Because there are women that, let's face it, legitimately hate men. They don't like men, but they deal with them.
Typically the way this basically goes, if a woman grew up either on bad terms with her dad, or the dad wasn't around, or the dad didn't give her attention, or he was an alcoholic, or what have you, there's different ways it could end up. There's an important part of her childhood that wasn't there, and that builds resentment towards guys. These type of women, I'm not a psychologist, but I can tell you for sure what ends up happening is when they grow up later, they end up being promiscuous. A lot of them party a lot. A lot of them look for validation. These are like your typical like girls that like club all the time. They're a little bit on the crazy side. They kind of like sleep around. That's how they tend to be. So again, you kind of have to watch out for that early on. When you're having casual conversation, I would throw that in there, like what her relationship is like with her family, especially her dad, because if the dad wasn't around, or she had a bad relationship with the dad, that's gonna set off some like real big issues down the road. And like you said, some of them like they hate guys, or they have like a chip on their shoulder because it's a mental thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's as a result of what they've gone through. Let's face it, they didn't go through it by choice. There's women out there that unfortunately didn't have their dad there for one reason or the other. They had no control over that. So they likely grew up in a single parent household, raised by their mother, or maybe not even raised by both parents, depending on what the situation is there.
And there's a good chance they also observed their mother's relationship with the dad, which was probably on bad terms as well, arguing, whatnot, going back and forth. Seeing that firsthand growing up will definitely get implanted in your brain. So, yeah, these type of girls, it's funny. The ironic thing is that these type of girls tend to be like the party type. So, like, they could be fun at first, but do not get anything serious going with them. If you identify her as like a girl that has like daddy issues, keep it casual and just be kind of like careful, because you do not want to get into a relationship with a girl like that.
Now, here's the unfortunate thing. The mom is raising the daughter,
Yeah.
likely in that scenario, most likely. It's not, of course, always going to be the case, but most likely the mother's raising the daughter. She's probably planting stories in her mind about how bad her father was, what he did to the mother, and just putting him in a bad light when it could have been that she was the one doing things to the father, maybe pushed him away, or they just kind of went in their own direction. They broke up, divorced, whatever the case may be, and she went her own way. And then I'm sure that her mother's the influence on her daughter. She's probably in her ear telling her your father was bad, your father was this and that. So you grow up thinking, as a woman, being the daughter of that mother, that, all guys are bad. My father was bad. I have to watch out for who I date for. And you have this wall built up that it just creates a tension when you're trying to build a relationship with a man. And that's going to be difficult if you have that mindset.
Those type of women, like I've experienced it myself, they tend to be emotional, a little bit on the bipolar side. One day they're good, one day they're flipping out, crying for no reason. They party a lot. And when they get angry and when you have arguments with women like that, like they tend to go off. They have a hard time really controlling their emotions. It's bad news. It really is. And, you really have to identify it early and just like tell yourself, like, okay, like I'll hang out with her here and there, but like don't get anything serious going with a girl like that. That's all I have to really say about that.
Exactly. If she has that sort of attitude towards you, just stay away from that type of woman.
Yeah. And it's not to, and just before we even end that one, like that's not to bash anybody that their parents broke up or something like that. We get that. It's not that person's fault, that person's choice that happened. We're just saying in the context of dating, you do not want to date girls that have daddy issues, hands down.
And before we move on for a second, also, I'm not going to put full blame on the mother. The father could have been
of course,
a drug addict, could have been a terrible father, you just left them. There's blame put on the man as well.
Of course.
So
this is not to bash people that have family problems. It's just we're talking about dating right now, not to get involved with people like that. Because again, it's like you said earlier, it affects them emotionally, and then it kind of like affects their it affects their mentality. It affects their I think emotions, and then as they grow up, I don't even think it's like on a conscious level. I just think subconsciously they have issues with guys. They a part of them hates guys.
yeah, exactly.
So let's go on to number 3.
So number 3, a woman who's obsessed with social media, and you can throw some narcissism in there. She's narcissistic.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts
what
on
you're
that?
talking about. So this one's pretty common now, I think. So just to be clear, we're not talking about somebody that's just like on their phone a lot because we all do it. We're talking about like, I guess an example would be like a Paris Hilton type, like constantly taking selfies. You're at a restaurant, it's a selfie. You're on vacation, it's a selfie. Everything's a selfie. She's editing her pictures. Have you ever had that situation where a girl has you take pictures of her and then she looks through them, which one? It's annoying.
Always had that happen.
So
almost always.
Yeah, if she's like obsessed with social media to that point, that would just be annoying as hell.
Exactly. So you have to watch out for that, because a girl that's obsessed with posting on social media, take a picture of me here, take a picture of me there. She's more into herself, and she's not considering you as the person that she's dating, or she's just going out for a dinner, or even in a relationship.
And they're basically, this is a combination of them being like obsessed over themselves, seeking validation constantly, seeking attention constantly.
Yep.
And I could just imagine how draining that must be being around a person like that long term.
I would love to ask some girls if they would give up social media for their man.
Yeah.
And
I actually wanted to ask you, since we're on the topic of social media, what do you think about girls that are in a serious relationship and they have no pictures of their boyfriend?
That's a red flag right there. Because you would want to show him off. You would want to let the world know that you are in a relationship.
There's girls right now that are in relationships with a guy for like 2-3 years. Like, I'm not talking about like little flings and things like that. I'm talking about like actual, you're in a serious relationship. You're committed in a committed relationship. And they have all pictures of themselves, not a single picture of the guy. I think that's so messed up. You're basically advertising yourself as a single woman.
Pretty much. You're keeping your options open while you're dating a man.
And to take it a step further, if she's not portraying herself as her being in a relationship on social media, just imagine what she's doing in person. You think when she's out at the club or at the bar with her friends, you think she's like telling everybody, hey, I'm in a relationship, like, don't talk to me, like,
stop the cap.
If she's saying that, she's lying. So ladies, don't cap on that.
That's crazy. That's wild.
That's the thing that you really have to watch out for as a guy. You have to be able to sniff that out.
You got to watch for that stuff. Women will hear this type of stuff, and right away, I could just hear it now, like women watching us going like, oh, they're so insecure. No, this is just messed up. Like, this is what we're going over. This is real stuff. This isn't like some, BS,
Yeah. This is stuff that's been written about online, and we see it. We see it at face value. Men go out with women. They're taking pictures of them at the beach or traveling or at a dinner or at an event. And she just posts herself, but where's the guy? Where's the guy that's behind the picture?
I'm telling you, I know girls like that personally that, like, I know they're in a serious relationship. You go on their social media and there's not a single picture of the guy. Sometimes they don't even have, like, sometimes you can tell girls in a relationship when she has like the little date with the heart on her bio. Nothing. No bio. No pictures of the guy, and I'm just like, damn, that must bother the guy. It would bother me.
Maybe even 1 or 2 pictures they have.
Yeah, I'm not saying blast the whole like page with the guy, but like the idea here is like you're advertising yourself as a single woman if there's no pictures of the guy.
Yeah, at least post 1 or 2, but even those that have 1 or 2 pictures, it's like you would want to post it more, especially if you've been with that person for a long, long time.
I know a situation like this where like the girl's like a big social media influencer, so like she relies on her social media page like as like a career. I get it. You don't want to like cut into your profits because if you post a guy, guys are gonna stop following you. That's true. But I'm talking about like regular people that are in a relationship to not post the person you're dating. I think that's completely wild. But I wouldn't like that myself.
It doesn't make any sense. If it was my girl, I would be like, hey, what are you doing here? You're keeping me a secret?
Or they post pictures of another messed up one that I see is like, it'll be a husband and wife with kids, and she'll post pictures of herself and the kid and no husband.
Yeah. To me, that's a sticky situation.
What's going on there?
It may not seem like a big deal, but to me, it seems like a sticky situation.
It's the message you're sending. It's like it. Yeah, you could just tell by people's actions that with the other side of stories.
It's what you're portraying as what the relationship is about.
Yeah.
So, before we go further, real quick, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. It is totally free of charge. We just like your support. We want to be put out there in the algorithm. We're here, again, just starting off our podcast and really going all out for you so you guys are able to learn about dating, because that's currently what we're going to be talking about. However, in the future, we'll be talking about money, finances, real estate, gym, etc. But we're here to help you. Again, it's a men's podcast, but we're here both for men and women. Both men and women should be watching this and learning from this. Again, I know folks aren't going to like some of the stuff that we say, but I know that there's going to be many folks out there that really value what we say, and it really helps them out. So that's the goal that we have here. We, again, do not come from bad intentions. We want to put out good, and we want to help people. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, like the sad reality is like average guys don't really have that many options. So like I said, a girl comes into a guy's life, and he just like, okay, like you have to vet the girl. You have to watch out for this stuff because as the relationship gets more serious, it may be a little bit too late. Some of this stuff will come out on its own later on, so you got to watch out for it earlier on. So,
And that's the problem. The problem is that guys overlook these red flags,
yeah,
and they rush into a relationship, and you find out that, well, she's doing A, B, C, and D to me. She's lying to me. She's not posting me on social media. She's just...
And it's not to say that like, oh my God, the girl has one of these red flags. I'm done with her. I'm not talking to her anymore. That's not the point. Just be aware of these things that we're listing, because that'll help you make a decision as to how you want to proceed.
Exactly.
Is this casual? Is this serious? Potential long-term relationship? Or is this just going to be casual and like, it is what it is?
Exactly. Awesome. So what's the next one?
All right. So we already went over women that are secretive liars, daddy issues, obsessed with social media. So we might as well get into this one. Women that are aggressive, combative, masculine, the boss babe type.
So women that are more of like a physical, mental, emotional abuse.
Aggressive women, like ones that'll just like something, they don't like something and they make sure everybody in the room knows about it, like the Karens,
Yeah.
or women that just make your life difficult over every little thing you do wrong, and they're constantly starting arguments. They get loud. I'm talking about those type of women. Aggressive, loud. They throw hissy fits.
So this could easily be number 1 or number 2 of red flags. When a woman is being aggressive towards you, she is being physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive towards you. That is your cue to figure out how to get out of that situation as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And if she's physically abusive, first off, game over. It's game over. She's gone. She hits you, she's gone.
Yeah, for sure. Once it crosses over into it gets physical, you have to cut her off. To get out of there. Run while you can, because that's how it is. Some of these aggressive women, it starts verbally, but it will eventually get physical. There are women like that will get physical with you, and guys are in a really bad situation in a case like that, because even if you don't do anything, right? She hits you, you get into arguments. She calls the cops. He hit me.
Yeah.
And now what?
Exactly. And the benefit of the doubt is in favor of the woman, because she can make up a story. Oh,
of course.
Yeah, I hit him, but he hit me first, or whatever the case may be. So you really have to make sure that once it happens the first time, you really cut her out, or find a way to cut her out slowly, because you may be really committed into the relationship, and it may not be as easy to get out of it, especially if, let's say, you're married, right? But these are the type of things that you should be able to find out before you get into that type of commitment.
And I'm not talking about women that, the classic, like, oh, clean up after yourself, put the toilet seat down. I'm not talking about like those typical normal things for women to do and to communicate to guys. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like throwing a straight up like outrage hissy fit over something stupid, like, whatever, like you threw something on the ground, or you look. Some of these, I'll tell you another thing. Some of these type of women, they'll be cheating on you or talking to other people, and they'll blame you for doing it. They start to play like really crazy mind games.
The mind games are sometimes even more abusive than the physical.
Yeah,
of course, the physical can escalate quickly, and depending how physical she is, that could be the worst thing. But the mental abuse, her coming after you and saying that, you should take me out more, I'm going to leave you.
If they're constantly complaining, and when they complain, they get really loud and just like obnoxious, defensive, that is going to be absolute hell down the road. It's only going to get worse. She's not going to ever cut that out. And as a guy, it's like, what do you do? Like, you have to like take it or leave. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to yell back at her, or you're going to, hell no. Like, the women like that, you really have to just cut your losses and hit the road.
I always say you have to teach people how to treat you.
Plus, those are masculine traits. The last thing you want to be doing is dating a man. You know what I mean? So those are definitely masculine qualities, and unfortunately, these type of women do exist. I wouldn't say they're extremely common, but these type of women do exist, and they may, she may start off being nice and polite and feminine, like when you meet her, but if that side of her comes out, my friend, leave her alone.
Yeah, eventually you get comfortable as you're dating, you get into a relationship, a commitment, etc. However, as I was going to mention, you want to make sure you teach people how to treat you, and that includes the girl that you're dating, because if you don't teach her how to treat you, then she's going to continue doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to take that abuse, that's up to you.
It's not worth it.
But partner, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. I don't care how good she looks. I don't care how good of a body she has. Dealing with that is never worth it.
Exactly. Now, again, just to kind of turn this a little bit, as a guy, you are never, ever to touch a woman. Never. Don't ever hit a woman. Even if she hits you, find a way to run away, to get away from the situation.
What you can really do is just like take that L and just leave.
Exactly.
Don't text. Don't escalate it any further. Don't say anything. Just leave.
Now, there could be situations.
She'll find another guy to do that too.
There could be situations where it could get dangerous. She could be really violent, have a weapon, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
You have to stand up for yourself if you have to really, kind of push her off.
I think the worst case scenarios are when these type of things happen under the influence. If you have an aggressive woman and you're both drunk, that could end really, really bad.
Yeah.
These are the type of like relationships that end up in like domestic violence that you see on, like, you remember watching that show Cops, and like they get into a fight in some trailer park somewhere in like Nebraska.
Yeah.
That's the type of people we're talking about.
Yeah. And again, if you have to defend yourself, that's one thing, just to kind of hold her back or, try to take a weapon and throw it to the side and run out. That's fine, but just make sure you don't escalate it. De-escalate the situation. De-escalate it, because you're going to regret it if you take it further. But there is that physical abuse. There's the mental abuse. Some women are passive aggressive.
Yeah.
And that's mental. That's mental abuse right there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a manipulation tactic where she's kind of coming around and making you feel bad about certain things. Watch out for that. Watch out for the emotional abuse. Any sort of emotional, physical, mental abuse, just watch out for, and make sure you nip it right away.
Yeah. Yeah, good call with the passive aggressive one. That should have really been its own number on the list right there alone, because some women will directly communicate that aggression to you. Some of them are on the more feminine side. They're not so loud and so aggressive, but they'll still torture you with those little passive aggressive comments, and like, you get what I'm saying? So
100%.
that's also not fun to deal. Why would any guy want to deal with that? Like, especially if you're an adult, like we're in our 30s. I'm not dealing with that.
No.
Maybe when you're in your party years, you're in your 20s and everyone's still growing up and figuring themselves out, but to deal with that, like, at this point,
there's no guy that's going to take a woman seriously if she is being physically,
and if there's any women
emotionally abusive.
If there's any women watching us right now, guys won't openly like call you out on this stuff, because most of the time they can't, because they're gonna get bashed and like hated for even mentioning it. This is the type of stuff guys watch out for, and when we identify it, we won't say it to you. We won't even mention it. We're not gonna text it to you and call you out on it, but for sure it's gonna affect the guy's decision to eventually just not take it seriously and hit the road. So
right.
if there's any women watching this, if you have these traits, I would work on that.
Definitely work on that. Next one, and that is guy friends. A woman having guy friends.
Yeah.
Now, gentlemen, keep in mind that when a girl you're dating seriously, not talking to, because of course the talking stage, as they like to call it, is when you're dating, but you're dating other people at the same time. So if she's doing that, that should go for you as a man.
And this is a controversial one, because some people will straight up say, like, all right, you can't control who her friends are. Let her be friends with, who are you to tell her who to be friends with? Okay, I'll take that. The reason I think it's a red flag is because, let's be real, right? We're guys. Guys don't befriend women, especially attractive women, to be friends with them, right? A lot of guys will sit into friend zone and wait their turn, but their true intentions are not to be friends.
What are their true intentions?
To get to, I got to be careful how to say this because this is YouTube, but so why is it that guys have problems when women have like a lot of guy friends or even a guy friend that's always around? Because we know, she may not know, we know what that guy's true intentions are. And he's going to hang around till he gets that chance. He may never get that chance, but he's waiting. Exactly. That could go on for years before he, So, and guys do that. They will befriend if anybody thinks I'm wrong, how many guys do you see befriend ugly women? Or how many guys do you see befriend like an obese, overweight woman? You never see that. If a guy's friends with a girl, it's usually an attractive girl. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I wonder why.
The thing is that, again, ladies, we're going to get some hate on this, but
How dare you?
you ladies know that you have a roster. So you may have a boyfriend. That's all fine and dandy. But if you have guy friends, that's a roster. You have potential intentions with that guy. Because if, let's say, something happens where you and your boyfriend have a fight, or maybe fiance, whatnot, even at the marriage level, shouldn't be at that point. But if something happens where you go your own way, you break up for a little bit, well, you can go call Chris or go call Bob or go call Jose. So the thing is that as a man, and this is to the guys out there, you make sure that you're not just letting your girl grow off and have all these guy friends.
And look, if she decides, no, these are my guy friends and I'm hanging out with them and there's nothing you can do about it, cool. Keep it moving. Don't proceed with something like that, because I'm telling you, well, guys already know this. I think a lot of women don't understand this, but I'm telling you, if a guy is friends with an attractive or even semi-attractive woman, his true intentions are not to be friends. He may be stuck in the friend zone, waiting his turn, and guys are patient with it. They could wait years for that. It might not have ever happened, but trust me, he's just waiting in line. He's like, maybe next time. She broke up with her ex. Now it's my turn. He's waiting for his turn. Exactly. No guy wants to be friends with a female and just be platonic.
Exactly. No. You don't want to be the boyfriend dating a girl with hanging out with a bunch of guy friends.
If guys wanted just casual platonic female friends, they would befriend all females. Ugly, overweight, obese. Well, we're just friends. But for some reason, guys are always friends with good-looking or, at least attractive women. That's why.
100%. So as a guy, definitely make sure you watch out for that. And as a girl, if you plan on having a roster, well, plan on being single, because it's not going to last long.
No, yeah. And like some women might watch this and like think like we're crazy. We're telling you this is how it is. So I would take that into consideration, because you may be talking to a guy that you may meet a guy that you eventually really like, and he may see that. He won't say anything to you, but trust me, he's going to look at that and be like, oh yeah, I'm not messing with this.
Before we wrap up, a couple of quick ones. If there's no sign of reciprocation, that's huge. If a girl's not reciprocating the same feelings to you, if you're, as a guy,
to me it conveys lack of interest. So
yeah, so
if she's not reciprocating,
if you're interested, you're showing it, and she's not, move on.
Yeah.
And another one I want to throw out is jealousy. If she's jealous and she's always on your case about something, oh, who's that girl? Who's this? You may be working with a girl and you have no choice but to be around this person, then that's a big red flag, and I would
100%
make sure you stay away from that girl.
We are out of time. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. See you next time.